how to find these deals, how to approach the homeowner in this situation, which contract you need to use, how to write the agreement, and then how to get the financing so that you can literally step into these deals with no money down, which makes them amazing. Strategy called Subject to. Subject to is a creative financing strategy that is employed to take over the mortgage payments of the seller without officially notifying the lender. Now, somewhere in your notes, I want you to write the term assumption or assume, okay? Write down assumption or assume. Another word that you might write down is a qualifying assumable, all right? What I'm talking about here tonight is not any of those things. If you say, oh, I'm going to assume your mortgage, no, you're not. An assumption or an assuming or a qualifying assumable, which can happen in VA loans, is not what we're talking about here, okay? None of the deals we're doing are qualifying assumables. They are what we call subject to, where we take possession and control of the property through what's called an AITD. Please write that down, AITD. What it stands for is an all-inclusive trust deed, okay? This is where we are simply taking the deed to the property through an all-inclusive trust deed. We're not assuming the mortgage, we're taking over the mortgage, but we're not assuming it and putting it in our name. So the mortgage will remain in the name of the person that we are buying the property from. Now, here are some of the advantages. You are buying without the need to qualify for a new loan, which gives you the potential to capitalize on the equity gains from the property as well as the principal buy down, because every month you make a payment on this other person's mortgage, you owe less on the payoff, which increases your equitable spread. As interest rates are high, subject to deals allow you to take advantage of a seller's fixed lower rate from years past. Now, the deal usually happens relatively fast with no buyer financing on the line and usually no title company involved, which sounds, ooh, that sounds risky. No. I'm going to show you guys how simple this is and how we get it done, okay? Now, in subject to deals, the remaining balance of the mortgage or the portion of the loan that the seller still owes is considered part of the buyer's purchase price. Now, in a moment, I'm going to show you guys some case studies, and I'm going to show you actual HUDs, housing and urban development, the HUDs of the closing transaction, so you can see exactly where the numbers land on both sides of the transaction, okay? So I'm just giving you talking points here, take notes as needed, but in a moment I'm going to give you actual case studies, real life examples of deals that we've already done so you can see how the numbers shake out. Then at the end of the presentation, I'm going to give you an actual deal and I'm going to walk you through the numbers so you can see it exactly as it unfolds on a deal that we just recently closed, okay? Now, question you should be asking is, why would a seller agree to a subject to? Well, most sellers that agree to a subject to are in some form of distress. It could be that they're behind in their mortgage payments and facing foreclosure. It could be that they need immediate cash due to some personal distress, such as a sickness. Could be a divorce where the two parties are getting separated and they want to take whatever equity is there and divide it amongst themselves and get out. It could be that they need to relocate for a job. Now, this is an area that we are seeing more and more being the reason. Now, I'm in an area up in northern Idaho. I'm about 100 miles south of the Canadian border in the panhandle of Idaho. Now, in the midst of COVID, a lot of people moved here from California, Western Washington, Oregon, because they were looking to get out of the states that were really locked down during COVID. And so their employers were willing to work with them on remote work. And so they came to the red state where you didn't have to wear a mask, where you could still go to the office, where you could still go out to dinner and have a meal. And so people flocked to Idaho like crazy. Well, now what we're seeing is a lot of these companies that were willing to support remote work are now calling these employees to come back to the office or they get fired. And so we're seeing a lot of people who bought in 2020, 2021, 2022 that are like, okay, I don't have any equity because I bought this house at the peak of the market when rates were at 3%, and now I got to move back to California, Western Washington, Oregon, and I got to do something with this house. I can't sell it. And so we come to them with these options. So needing to relocate for a job, you're going to see this a lot in Texas. Texas experienced the same type of population swell in the midst of COVID, as did Florida, as did Georgia, as did Charleston, South Carolina. So any state that was predominantly red as it relates to politics and how it managed the effects of COVID are going to begin seeing population decline, as many of these people have to go back to the states that they vacated if they want to keep their jobs. So a subject to deal can help provide a quick solution to whatever problem they may face. Now, the deal usually happens relatively fast. In addition, sellers may be motivated by the possibility of improving their own credit and or avoiding broker fees. Now, when we take over these loans subject to, many of them are in arrears because the borrower or the homeowner had no idea that such a thing even existed, that they're like, you know what, if I can't sell it for what I owe, I can't afford 2 mortgages or this house and a rental where I got to move back to, so I'm going to default on this loan. So a big way that we identify these types of deals is through public record. The notice of default filing in a non-judicial foreclosure state, the filing of a lis pendens in a judicial foreclosure market, and it becomes public record when they stop making these payments. So the way that we approach these homeowners is we simply ask them, what do you need? Do you need money down? Do you need money to move? Are you looking for money per month? We figure out what the need is, and then we're going to reverse engineer the deal to meet their needs. And we're going to write the offer subject to the underlying financing, but we're also going to write it subject to the inspection, which will give us some negotiating room during the due diligence phase. Now, there are ways that subject to deals can be structured. There are a few ways, and I'm going to show you guys a few examples of my recent subject to deals so you can see how these are unfolding. Now, my goal, by the time that I am done with this presentation, you guys are going to have a working knowledge of how to find these deals, how to approach the homeowner in this situation, which contract you need to use, how to write the agreement, and then how to get the financing so that you can literally step into these deals with no money down, which makes them amazing.